All right. So I got the third member in. Some of the studs on there were pretty tough getting in there. The nuts are already kind of the jet nut style where it's squished on one side. So they're not perfectly symmetric as they go around, and it kind of grips the threads. But some of the threads had like rust or some kind of other buildup from the phosphoric acid metal prep type coating. So I had to go back and forth on that, spray some Croil on it, and heat it up pretty well. But I was able to get them on and put the rear cover on as well. That looks really good. First time it's ever been together. Got the 1350 connection going on here. So the U-joints are in. These are the U-joints that came with the drive shaft, which is should be pretty new. Should be new enough to run. And then if they give me any noise, then I'll replace them. So new yoke that's been cut down. New 1350 yoke that's been cut down to work on the 4L60E. Had to position the rear subframe here about an inch back to make up for the longer pinion yoke. So this whole thing moved back an inch this way. So pretty happy with that. I will probably have to trim this out a little bit more, but it won't come close to the it won't come too much closer to the light. Even at full compression, it shouldn't go into where the light is. So happy about that. Before I put the rear end in, I went and cleaned up the bore of the inside here because it was feeling pretty crusty. Like I had cleaned up this part where the bearing goes in. I used the some wire wheels and abrasive brushes with the Fordham, which is like a super Dremel tool. So I cleaned that up, and this is nice and smooth now. But the insides were really rough still. And so what I used is this. I got a bunch of 3/8 inch extensions on this guy. And then he goes out to this chuck here that has a 3/8 inch back and a wire wheel, which once it gets past that little lip that you can see right there, it goes in and it'll bounce around. Okay, and so this is I had to run it in reverse. Basically, had to run it in reverse so that this thing doesn't untighten. But yeah, I was able to get that out there. I had the air hose blowing it as well. So and there was like a lot of dust coming out. So it was taking stuff out, and now it feels smooth, and I don't feel any like crustiness that's going to get its way back into the gears or into the bearings here. So pretty happy about that. Blew it out, wiped out the center section with brake clean, just regular brake clean and a rag. And there is a magnet in the bottom of the case in the center, so I went and cleaned that out. It'll be good enough for now. It's not tight enough to put oil in. I still need to get another gasket for the backside. I couldn't find the original gasket that came with it, so I'm going to order another lube locker type of reusable gasket for the back. And then I can like fill it up with oil, and I think after I put the axles on. So once I get the axles on, these cinder blocks can come out, and I'll basically have a setup kind of like the front here with some wood propping up the tires. So I'll have the axles on, the brake housing on. It could just rest, like I could turn this sideways, and then the brake rotor that goes on here could just sit on top of that. But I'll probably go ahead and when I have the axles in, I'll probably just go ahead and put these wheels on both sides. But if that's the case, what am I going to need to do? I will need to trim this a bit, especially in the backside here. I'm going to need to trim maybe this much of it to clear the tire, so I'm not chewing up the tire. And then I can trim, I can trim this part a little bit more. It's probably, maybe an inch extra on this side, but then down here it's like 2 or 3 inches. It's about this much that I need to trim on the backside. Let's see, what else is there? This is going to be a pain in the ass to take it off again. I guess I can take off, yeah, I guess, there's 4 bolts there, and then there's like 1 inch of plunge I left. It's about 1 inch of this shiny part here, and that's the amount of plunge. Like, this could go all the way to where it's not painted here anymore. It can touch up against the seal. So that's how much plunge I have. And then inside the shaft, there's like a large section that's fully splined. So that's how I will get this off, because in order to take the engine out, I'm probably going to have to pull it with the transmission. And so I need to take the drive shaft out of here and then pull the slip yoke out, and then I could take this entire assembly out, take the transmission off the back, and then chuck this up on an engine stand. I'll use this blue engine stand here, and then basically get the wiring and try to crank it up. Yeah, work on the wiring, try to crank it up. I looked at the fuel line connectors, the OEM ones right here. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. Yeah, they look pretty good. They're a little bit beat up, but they're not really scratched up like I thought they might be. So I think I'm going to be able to reuse those. And what I want to get is, I want to run like 1 size AN line for probably Teflon rated hose for the whole system. So I'll be ready for E85 or running ethanol or some other types of fuels without it breaking down the like a regular rubber line. And I wanted to use the same size, so I'm going to need some adapters to go from the GM Quick Connect to AN. I think Faster LS sells some of those on eBay, so I'll get a couple of those. Let's see, is there anything else? I got new plug wires in today. I do need to catalog and index each of these, and then take pictures of the spark plug, maybe adjust their gap back to stock, clean them up a little bit, and yeah, I can do that once off the engine, out of the car rather. And let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, and then with this thing out of the car and on a stand, I'll have more access to get in here and start figuring out what I'm really going to do with this chassis suspension area up here. So I need a connector for probably some kind of small tube to go from down here up to here. I can take all these plates out from underneath, and then figure out if I'm going to redo any of this section or cut off the bottom of this section so I can get the cradle in and out. And there was a last piece in here for messing with the suspension, probably from going from about up here, somewhere between here and here, and taking that load and then coming up into the back of this box somewhere. So preferably it would be a load point somewhere in between here and here, where it comes up. To prevent bending loads, it would come up and join right on the backside of this. And I might have to do like a single, if you can see it up in here, this is the windshield wiper rather. I might try to convert this somehow so that it does it has more swing. So move this down so that it has more swing. Let's see. Can I zoom in on that? If I move this pivot down so it has more swing, I should be able to use a single wiper in the middle that can go all the way across. So I might try that. That might simplify things a little bit. Yeah, just have to be conscious of where that might hit, especially on the other side there, that bar. You can see the bar going across there is right there. Yeah, I can't have that like hitting the... I'd have to bend it to go around the frame support piece. I guess the frame takes precedence, and then, you know, driving in the rain, that's secondary. Anyway, yeah, there is a last bit of triangulation. You know, it always bugs me because I love to see things triangulated, and you know, it bothers me to see it like this because this is not the final way it's triangulated. I definitely need some support to take the weight or take the load from around this area and then triangulate it up. And then there's also some kind of bolt-in load structure I'll have going from this side to this side, but I'll try to keep that a little bit hidden so you don't see it as much. And then I'll probably need to carve this up a bit, maybe cut it down this way or something, just to get the aesthetic that I'm looking for. This is not the aesthetic that I'm looking for. Not right now. I can kind of envision how it's going to look, but it's not going to have this this part up here. It's like a little bit too bulky and abrupt, but maybe it just won't be visible. So, you know, maybe it'll still be there, but it'll be covered up somehow, and you won't really notice that the frame is like right here. So I kind of wanted the tires to be at the extremes of the car, and right now you can kind of see that these stick out a little bit more than the tire. All right, that's it for tonight. I think I'm going to go up and get some dinner.